Hello Tuesdays, it's Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today we're catching up with the 1 in 10 bust from Life Miniatures called The Few. Show the box gap. There we go. I've done a fair bit to it. I've had to rework some bits because I'd got them wrong. I'm not saying that the box art had particularly got them wrong, but what I normally do is, although you only see the one piece, obviously on the box art, or you've got to Google it, and the artist will have, you'll see pictures of it on all the front, back, sides, all that type of thing. And I always do say never just rely on box art, because every artist has their own impression on what something looks like. Sometimes they don't know what something is and they'll paint it how they think it is. Sometimes it just might be their artistic license, if you want to call it that way. I do like to get things as right as I can be. You can play around with colours with busts quite a bit. Historical busts, as we all know, not every uniform fades the same. Not every uniform even comes out in the stores the same colour as exactly the same jacket, trousers, whatever. So there were a couple of things that I painted that I thought was part of the actual life vest, so the green bit that I painted, and it turned out it was actually part of the parachute harness, so I had to change that. And then I found something else that I'd also painted as part of the life vest that was also part of the parachute harness, painted a different colour, which I didn't see on the artwork. So and on the different, when you do the 360 artwork on the Google search. So join me at the bench and we'll have a look how far Gav's got. Right guys, thanks for joining me at the bench. I'm reshooting this complete video, which is rather annoying. Anyway, less moaning and let's get on with the video. I've got a fair bit done. Let's get that in a bit closer. If you can see, the parachute harness release makes no sense whatsoever. They've got a bit of an arrow going down there, which isn't brilliant, but and this is just pretend writing. I could not for the life of me make that small enough to be legible. I don't know how the box artist has done it, whether he's just brilliant, it probably is just writing with a paintbrush very small, or whether he's used, or he or she's used, actually it's a he, they've actually used stencil, or not stencils, transfers of some description, I don't know, but it was beyond me. I tried. The actual aluminium look is using true metal from AK. It's like a wax type of paint. You've just got to be careful. It's because it's almost very creamy, and then you can, once it's dried a bit, you buff it up to the shine that you want. I buffed it, and then re-stained it with different paint just to bring the shine down to what I wanted. The only thing is, it's quite a bitty paint. I don't know how to describe it really, and I had bits flick onto my paintwork, only about 3 or 4 or 5 bits, just tiny little bits, and they scattered quite far, from onto the other side of the life vest, and that was, I had a few I could just literally blow at them and they flew off, but others just wouldn't shift, and I ended up having to paint over them again, which was again rather annoying. So if you are going to use that, it's fairly stable. It does buff up nice. You won't be handling it, hopefully, so it's not going to come off in your hands or anything, but just be careful that bits will flick around it. I've had to rework a lot of the paint on the parachute harness, which we'll come to in a minute. As you can see here, it's got some writing on, which will be covered a bit with that pipe going down. That says front. It is supposed to be on the skew there. Because I've got darker green than the box artist, mine's not showing up particularly well. I'm not fussed of that particularly because it does fade anyway. It's just obviously stenciled on there normally, and it will fade. But yeah, it doesn't really particularly show up well, which is something I would have hoped would have had a bit better result on. You've seen the gloves. I've done a bit more to them to add a bit more of a shine to them. I need to do that to the flying helmet as well. These are fabric tapes, cotton. I don't know what. I've given them a bit of a stipple, and obviously that's the ring pull for the harness. And they are down here as well, the same tapes from what I could see on the on historical Battle of Britain parachute harness era, Royal Air Force parachute harnesses. I've put the rank on. I did that last night. Again, you can't see it very well. I'm going to just try and rework that slightly. I do believe I've probably put too much highlight on the charcoal back into the ring, or the tape I should say. But yeah, that's we're getting there. I have put some shadow work in there, but I think I'm going to darken some of the shadows more yet, especially around the buckles, and deeper folds in the harnesses themselves. So there's a bit of work to go on that yet. Now this is where we've had to have a bit of a rethink. When I looked at the box art online, because obviously then they'll show you the front back, you only get to see the front bit on the box art. But when you go online, the art, whether it's from the company themselves, the artist, but it's usually online. You just Google the miniature itself, the bust, and it'll come up. And they seem to have painted everything the same colour. Well, this, I might be wrong, but this, when I looked into it, was actually this colour type cotton, varying in some's a bit darker, some's a bit lighter. And obviously it's there to stop these harnesses all twisting. It's to keep everything in place. At first I thought these were leather, but from what I could see they were more like a heavy duty, I don't know if they say felt or heavy duty canvas, I'm not sure. But that's what I've painted them at, and then with the white metal studs on them. But as I say, that's there just to stop everything twisting. Now I'd painted all that green, so I've had to rework all that. I also painted this, let's just use a pointy stick calf, this green here, and it turns out it's white, going round to the actual pull itself is anchored to that, and then this brown tape goes over the top. Just my own observations online, looking at period parachute harnesses and reproductions. But yeah, we're getting there. I keep saying that. I've still got to do highlights of the shirt, that's cuffs that are sticking out there. I need to put some deeper shadows in here around the jumper. There's a couple of very light bits I'd like to tone down slightly. It's not as dark as it's showing on that I'm looking through the viewfinder of the camera here. It is, but it's not that dark. The jumpers I'd seen were more of a beigey, creamy type thing than a bright white, like a cold white. So that's why I've painted mine in that colour. And then obviously just the grubbiness of wearing them during the day or whenever, waiting for a scramble. So yeah, very slight bit of work to do to the gloves still. This tape here I think is white, but I'm just going to have one last check to make sure it is. If it's not, that'll probably be the same colour as that. So annoying about the writing, although to be honest with you, when you're actually viewing it, when I put it down and I view it from where you'd probably view you'd normally have it on view, it doesn't look so bad. I keep telling myself that. But yeah, obviously we've got the skin to do yet on his hands, but I don't really want, until I've worked out with the face what I want, I don't really want to start messing around with the hands just yet. The pup, the spaniel, I've not touched, because what I want to do is get the head on the torso when it's ready, have that whole torso and head signed off before I actually start the spaniel. I've gone over with the brown there. I'm going to put some dark grey in there anyway to do some shadow work, some deep shadow. I have put shadows in there, but I'd like to get some darker shadows in places that are just to try and show that the straps are actually, you know, that's hollow and the straps are actually moving underneath it. So I need to put a bit of dark German black grey or something in there yet. And there's a few little bits I just want to do shadow work on the jacket again, and some bits and pieces, but not a lot. As I say, the life preserver instructions that are printed on in normal times, you know, if I'd have done a lighter jacket, they'd have stood out a bit better. But then again, I say to myself, I'm not as good as a box artist, and it wouldn't have looked stenciled on. So I'm probably, by the time that tube's gone over the top, it'll probably show you enough that there's stenciling on, but without you being able to see I've made a, you know, not a brilliant job on it. So we'll just put it to one side for the moment. The helmet, it will need some highlights on, because I've used scale 75 in the main with some Vallejo flat brown, and the scale 75 is, as is often the case, is a very matte sorry about that, it's my phone. It's a very matte paint, and it could just do with some highlights to bring a shininess to the leather in places. Yeah, there would be bits scuffed and worn, but it still could do with, you know, that bit extra work done to it. We've still got to do all the brass, all the white. I think it's brass probably. Where's me? Can I get my pointy stick in view here? Oh, here we are. So these have got to be brass. The zips got to be brassed and then darkened down a lot. These are painted studs, paint over the studs, but I wouldn't mind probably showing a bit of warm brass showing through there. You're not going to be able to see. Can you see that? I've tried to put a glass effect on the over the top of the paint. So these are just normal panels. I've painted first the normal leather look underneath. I'd noticed that the goggles had a slight green tinge to them, the period ones. So I've glazed some green in there. I've then put some built up different whites around the edges to reflect the light, and across a bigger patch across there, because the light's coming from that direction. I need to do a bit more white yet, very high, intense white in the centre there, just as a bit of a ping of light. Not so much on this side because it's going to be in shadow. And then I'm thinking of putting either a satin or a gloss. I'm thinking satin first, just to give a more glazed appearance. I did go round and darken the edges to make the glass pop out more, and I've gone a bit too far with some of the glass there, so I just need to tidy that up at the end of that. These, I believe, are darkish grey goggles, and I might show a few aluminium chips through that. And then obviously we've got fabric or leather around the outside, which has still got to be done. So I'm not 100% yet. If it still looks a bit crummy, I will maybe revisit all of the glass and do it again. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to wait till I've got at least if not the strap, but the actual rest of the goggles done, and see how it looks then. I'm not 100% happy with it, but I think the last one I did, the Soviet fighter part, I'd have to go and have a look again, but I think I just painted that in mainly a bit of white around the edges to show the glass. I hadn't done the big reflections over the top. I was trying to show a bit like the box artists had done. Obviously they're more creative than me, but you know, I'm still trying to have a go at that. This is actually a dark green cloth. I thought it was leather, so I've had to, where am I? Yeah, there. Right, this is dark green cloth going to a lighter green. I did think all that bit was leather, and it's not. It's actually cloth. This is like, from what I've seen, is a cream, including here, is like a cream cloth over the speaking part. The artist again is showing that a very light in places. Again, we've all got our own views how we do it. Yeah, that's got to be all worked on yet still. Just did a base colour in there just to see if I was happy with the main base colour. So there we go, guys. I'll put the torso as it's better to look at. We're getting there. As I say, I haven't touched it for probably until last night I hadn't done it for about 3 nights. I was allowing myself usually an hour at the end of the night just to have a go on bits and pieces on it. But I've been doing some foil work on that P51. The P51 itself I'm not actually going to make as a model, it's just wings and a fuselage. There wasn't even any pins to actually join the two halves together. It was almost like a short run kit, and I just it was awful. So I've used it as I said I would as a mule. I won't go into it now as this is the bus talk, but I've been doing that for the last 3 nights, foiling one of the wings. So this got a rest. But back onto the got the foil video coming up in the next day or two, and this will be having some more paint on it tonight. I have supposedly basing a load of naps, but I've stuffed up some of the bases, so I'm redoing those. So that'll be a good few days before you see those. But that's the nap commission. I'm cleaning up more naps at the moment for the next unit. But coming up probably this week, I'm going to take an afternoon off and paint up the rest of the galls. If I have time, I've got the 4 Vietnam figures I also want to finish off, and I can have those off my desk then. So you'll see a video of those in a couple of sessions, in a couple of videos of those coming up. I've got a couple of other aircraft in the background. The Focke-Wulf 190 has been painted, hurrah! And is waiting for a compressor to come out and get the gloss coat on to put the decals on and start weathering. Didn't do a great job on it, but I'm actually more pleased, and it came out a bit better so far than I thought it might have done, but I was hoping for it to come out a bit better than it did. And I've got another aircraft which I won't be showing or talking about until it's done. I'm doing a lot of chatting about stuff at the moment and not getting a lot done, which is why you haven't seen a video this week probably, just because I've been bustling away doing stuff, but not enough that's been worth showing you a video on. I think that's it. So guys, thank you very much. As I say, we're getting some progress on the bus now. It's just been a few setbacks with obviously me not doing my research properly enough and stuffing up the parachute at the back there, which had to be all repainted. These things happen, you know, so it's still been enjoyable. It just means I've had to repaint a lot of the bust, so it's taken me back rather than forward. And the goggles, as I say, the glass, at times when I see it in the light, I'm thinking, oh, that's not too bad, and then other times I think, oh, I'm not sure. So we'll see. A bit more work done to that, and we'll see how it looks. So thanks for joining me on this video. I hope everything's going well with you. I hope your projects, whatever they are progressing well, and we'll catch each other very soon on another video.